Today on the Topping Show, Trump is indicted again. Gavin Newsom wants to repeal the Second Amendment. Target is downgraded again. Call of Duty boycott begins. Indiana Jones is set to flop. Cracker Barrel joins Pride Month. Bud Light sales are down 60%. Carvana stock spikes 50% increase. Netflix password cracking seems to actually have a positive result. GM and Tesla to share chargers. And Toyota reveals a hydrogen capsule car for the Le Mans race. All that and much, much more on the Topping Show. Thank you for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of Topping Show is sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller services company with a special proficiency in IT and security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice today. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, reach the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Now, going on to the business blunder of the day. You have Indiana Jones and the dial of virtue signaling. I mean, that's not the actual name, but that's what I'm calling it. Now, just to give you a sense of this film, although calling it a film might be an insult to film just because it's probably not worth not cellulose. This is a special material film is printed on, but just to reiterate, give you a perfect example of the embodiment of what this movie is. I'm going to play a little clip of the preview.
Hitler made mistakes, and with this, I will correct them all. You stole it. Then you stole it.
And then I stole it. It's called capitalism.
She is perhaps the most perfect definition of insufferable. You stole it, and then you stole it, and you stole it. That's capitalism. No. But in her defense, she's probably like modern college educated, which is where they get these ideas. That's not capitalism at all. I make a product or a service, you buy that product or service. That's capitalism. Now, that's a perfect embodiment or sign of what this whole movie was and is. Now, I haven't seen it yet. There are clips that are coming out to the public and early releases so that reviews are coming to the forefront. Now, this movie is supposed to be 2.5 hours long. And I always have to ask myself, who the hell has that much time in their hands? 2.5 hours for a movie? It blows my mind that some people are the same people who struggle to pay. And again, I've been there because I started my own business. I've had times where you have to make hard decisions between eating and keeping the business afloat. I know there are hard times, but yes, I can't help but think it's ironic or interesting. The same people who complain about not making enough money or struggling are the same people will go and watch a movie for 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours, and they'll do I don't know what the kids call it, the Netflix and chill, where you just spend a whole day on the couch watching the Netflix. It's almost heartbreaking how few people want to make a dent in the universe these days. Nevertheless, I digress. Now, the movie is 2.5 hours long, which begs the question, did they cut anything? Probably not. Now, the early reviews have come out 54% on Rotten Tomatoes. And what are people saying? What are these movie aficionados? And again, these are people that are pretty biased. A lot of them are getting the movie for free, or they're being invited to a premiere where there's a little bit of conflict of interest because you want to be reinvited again. But even they are saying, quote, over long and no thrills, no fun, unquote. Another one said, quote, basically, Dial of Destiny is just a compendium of old bits from earlier films. That it ends at all is a blessing, unquote. Now, again, we should have known this going in because it's Disney. And again, the perfect metaphor for modern Disney is a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. If you do that on a photocopy machine, you just get a crappier and crappier and poorer quality image. Now, allegedly, there's new material in these films. Allegedly. Now, of course, it was going to happen this way. So they have Harrison Ford, who again is about 80 years old now, I believe. And the first movie, I believe, is 38. Now, basically, the movie is having him being the cliche, foolish old man, now going up against a strong feminist, constantly correcting him. Because who doesn't like a movie about a guy being nagged all day long? Now, of course, the main actress in the film, she is his woke, patronizing granddaughter, and she is the film's hero, which is almost painful seeing Harrison Ford and some of the other original actors from the original 3 good films. Again, Crystal Skull was garbage. Another continuity error. Whatever happened to his son, Shia LaBeouf, or LaBeouf, depending on how you want to pronounce it, in the 4th film, The Kingdom of Crystal Skull, that was his son. Are we just... and again, I know this isn't supposed to be a high equal... It's supposed to be not be a cognitive test or, really intellectual experience, but are we just... So the user's just supposed to pretend, oh yeah, his son just never came back, he's gone. What? That, again, more ridiculousness. Now, the office prediction for the opening weekend is $60 million, which is well below the previous film, Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. That movie was released 15 years ago, and even that movie was pretty cringe at the time. Now, that opening weekend was $100 million, and that went on to make $790 million worldwide, which that movie was much more unique than this movie in the fact that they brought Harrison Ford back. The trilogy, kind of like Star Wars, if it's the originals with Harrison Ford, it's worth watching. It breaks so many hearts that he actually got pulled back into that franchise. But that movie, that was about $700 million. That was because Harrison Ford was back. It was a 15 year, so that was 15 years from now. But I believe it was maybe a couple decades between the last, because I think, what was it? The Last Crusade, I believe, was 89 or it's been decades. So him back on the silver screen, that got every fan back in there. They didn't even have to make a preview. They did, but just having his name on the marquee and on the posters, they were going to sell tickets because he's back. The nostalgia sold. They're trying to do that twice. And the Crystal Skull it sold tickets, yes, but purists and most people who have more than 4.5 brain cells, the story was just way out there. And Shia LaBeouf, there's a lot of controversy on what people believe. He's a good actor, a bad actor, but I don't know a lot of people who are rewatching that movie. I'll just say that. And of course, there are a lot of unrealistic things where he survives a nuclear bomb being exploded because he hides in a lead fridge, which, sure, it saves from the radiation until you have to open it and then the fallout, but it blew him across the town, literally blew up. But so that movie made $790 million. Okay, that was a unique experience. It was a unique thing. He's back. They're trying to copy paste, or just do copy rather. He's already been back. He has a great voice. He should do more audiobooks in my opinion. I'd pay for that. But he's back. But even in the previews, he looks tired. And there is a certain masculinity as well as a beauty for females with aging with grace. And there's certain limitations. There's certain things, but they have him bombastically riding a horse throughout like a subway. And again, some people age gracefully and they're in great physical shape and they look the part. I mean, people like Sylvester Stallone still work out every day. He's jacked. And for him, like the Expendables, that movie, it seems very fit. It's also playing into the cliche or the shtick that it created, and kind of like embracing the meme. Now, but I digress. Going back to this, I'm trying to think of is there a polite way of saying pile of dog shit? Pile of dog excrement? That's fancy. But, so they're estimating the cost. So the production cost to make this film, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Virtue Signaling, was $295 million. Partially because they're paid a lot of CGI to de-age Harrison Ford. I think which is way too ambitious. The technology is getting better, but a lot of the critics were saying it looks cringe. It doesn't look like him because, again, it's a computer. But it cost him $295 just to make the damn thing. Now, keep in mind, this is before marketing. Marketing, the industry average, they estimate about 2x. So let's round up to $300 million to make it. That means they have to spend about $600 million to market the film, to get the word out there. So, in order for them to break even, they need about $1.2 billion of box office. Or rather, actually, they need to make $1.2 billion, which means the box office needs to be greater. Because again, the box office is split. I mean, the box office is how AMC, Cinemark, the theaters make their money. They also make it off $15 and $25 things of popcorn. But again, they share it. The total box office, that's not all going to Disney. They're sharing that. So they didn't make about $1.2 billion. Do you think this will make that? Well, I guess I can't hear you. You can always say it in the comments, but no, there is no way this will make $1.2 billion. If it was, it would have to be a great script. One, but you'd also need better actors, better actresses. Like, Harrison Ford can still play Indiana Jones. He's the original actor. I think the role should die with him. There's debates on if this girl is going to be the new Indiana. Or I guess no, that's his name. Indiana Jane. There's probably some way you could change the name to make it female, but a lot of speculation they're going to prep her for her to be the new Indiana Jones figure. But does anyone really want to see a movie about a grandfather and his annoying ass granddaughter just complain at him throughout the whole film, and they make him look like a helpless old man? That's almost heartbreaking for any true fan, which again, people are hearing these reviews. A true fan doesn't want to go and see someone they greatly respect, some of their idols, be shit upon. Again, pardon the French or whatever vernacular you want to use for swear terms, but it's just disappointing and sad, but it's not unpredictable because, again, it's Disney. Bob Iger, the CEO, the current trajectory of the company is going the way it's going to go. But in terms of a business blunder, there's no physical way, even with globally, with China having a huge market, it's not going to make $1.2 billion. And again, even if it did, all the stars aligned right, and they made $1.2 billion, that's breaking even. That's terrible for a business, especially Disney. Bob Iger's instruction is to cut cost of content, not just making content, but licensing content. And they're laying off about 7,000 employees throughout, that's their goal for the whole year, I believe. So to break even on a project, that's got to be the business blunder of the day. It's probably up there in the top here. Let me know if you want to have an actual award for business blunder of the year. I might have to do something like that. But I digress. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Cannot thank you enough for liking, subscribing, commenting. All the feedback is greatly appreciated. Also, don't forget to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.